The Flyers got a point tonight against Toronto, but they desperately needed two. And for a while, it appeared like they wouldn't get any. In the end, it was a 4-3 overtime loss to the Maple Leafs. 2 games left. They need 2 wins. Let's go get it. Brian Wright and Caleb Weiler are both here. I'm Adrian Fedke. I don't know how to describe this loss tonight.
Yeah, this loss is very hard to describe other than just frustrating. Flyers have been killing it. I think they were the highest team in the league in points over the last couple months, and they lose to the Maple Leafs, who are pretty bad. Right now, it's not even the Maple Leafs. It's really the Marlies, who are their AHL team. They brought all their players up, and they still beat us. We peppered the Burn 4 shots, and, we can only get 3 goals past them. 1 miracle goal at the end of the game. Just frustrating. It was a must-win. And like normal, the Flyers play down to their competition.
There's not much you can say other than frustrating and irritating. As Caleb said, if you've watched the Flyers for the last couple of years, they have this infuriating tendency to play down to their competition, and that's what happened again against Toronto. They just got those first two goals scored against them, and they couldn't really come up with anything. They did manage to come back, which was nice, but you needed 2 points. So we've got 2 games left. You got to get it going.
Yeah, I mean, they were in such a prime position just last night. All you needed to do is just beat Toronto or beat Detroit, basically. And they couldn't get the job done last night. You lose again tonight. Let's just, before we get back to those 2 games, let's, talk about the standings, where everything is at the moment. Flyers have 2 games left against, you play Pittsburgh at home, and then you play at New York against the Islanders. Detroit's just got 1 left against the Rangers, and Boston plays Ottawa at home. Boston beat Detroit tonight, so they're both tied at 93 points, and the Flyers are 1 point behind both of them for that last playoff spot at 92.
Yeah, so right now the Flyers still hold their own fate in their hands. Within the last 4 games, even though they lost to Detroit yesterday, they needed to go 2-1-1 in order to get into the playoffs because their magic number was 5. So right now they do have 1 of the 5 points that they need. Theoretically, if either Boston or Detroit lose in regulation, the Flyers only need 1 more win, or they could lose twice in overtime and still get into the playoffs. So I think there is a possibility that the Flyers could get in, but I would expect Boston and Detroit to come out swinging against the teams that they're playing because they smell blood in the water. They see that the Flyers are slowing down. They haven't been playing well too recently, so it's going to be really tough for them to get in.
Yeah, as well as they've done over the past few months to sort of make a run and get even close to the playoffs, we've got Detroit's playing the Rangers, so that's going to be a challenge for Detroit. But Boston playing Ottawa. Ottawa's not very good. And in fact, I believe this is the first time since, I believe, the 60s that you've had a Canadian team not in the postseason. But anyway, I digress.
That's pretty insane.
Ottawa's not very good. So Boston, and off the back of the big win they had tonight over Detroit, 5-2 in Boston, they're going to have some nice momentum going into that game.
That's a great nugget, though, Brian. Great nugget. Trogs, nectar nugget of the day. We got it in. All right, let's talk about this game, this one tonight. You get down 2-0, and it was just an uphill struggle. Turnovers leading to breakaways. So that's how they got down. They got down 3-1. But the third period, man, they really got back into it. Started, just a relentless pressure, basically, kept peppering shots at Bernier. Talk about that third period.
Yeah, 2 big goals, 2 big milestones for players. Andrew McDonald, who sucks, scored his first goal of the year. And NHL. He was in the AHL for most of the year. But he scored, brought the Flyers back into it. The fourth line came out after that, kept churning. They were killing it. Then, the Flyers couldn't bring much out. They pulled Mason, and then Simmons scored on that awesome tip-in goal. And that was his 30th goal of the season, and it's his first 30-goal season. He's hit 28 a couple times. I believe it's 4 times. I think he hit 29 one year, too. So it's his first year for 30 goals. It just sucks that they couldn't come out with a win tonight.
Yeah, valiant effort. After Grabner scores that third goal, you're thinking, oh, boy, this is going to be a challenge. And by the way, that pass that Grabner intercepted, unfortunately, you kind of knew he was going to score in that goal because I don't think there's a faster player in the NHL than Michael Grabner. When he gets on a breakaway, he's hard to catch. But you get the second goal, and then that beautiful tip in by Simmons, which he is one of the best in the NHL at doing that. 30th goal, big milestone. And once you got it into overtime, I was feeling, because they've been pretty good in overtime, so I was feeling that they were gonna do it. But yeah, that phantom tripping call there kind of put them into a very bad spot.
Yeah, that was beyond frustrating because they missed the tripping call on Giroux earlier in the game. Then they called that in overtime. He stepped on his stick. Like, let him play. You know, this is a huge game for the Flyers, and then the refs took it away from them.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think there's been a lot of tripping, a lot of penalties in general called in overtime, which is probably not the best place to continuously call penalties.
Yeah, let's get back to talking about the fourth line because they kept getting sent out there. I mean, you got to love the hustle in that fourth line. Just great play from them, and I mean they were leading the way in the third period. That was outstanding.
Yeah, Vandevelde, White, and Belmar, in addition to just being good hockey players, they played really well on the penalty kill, and they seem to have really good chemistry together. So you can always count on them to bring the energy. You know, they're not high-skill guys. They're not going to give you 40, 50 points a year, but that's not what you need a fourth line to do. The Flyers do have issues where they need secondary scoring, and they've been getting that this year with Schenn, a little bit more with Couturier, and that's not what the fourth line does. They go out there, they hit hard, they forecheck, they bring the puck into the zone, they keep it in the zone, and they do what they can to just bring a little bit more energy to the Flyers, to the bench, and the crowd. You really heard the crowd buzzing after that McDonald goal, and I think that's what they do really, really well. And they've been really good for the team.
They've been doing it all year. You know, back in the day, and I don't want to say back in the day, but in the 80s, probably in the 90s, when you had the heyday of the big Eric Lindros type forwards leading the way, the fourth line was always looked at as the goon line. Nowadays, it's not. Nowadays, it's kind of changed over to the energy line, and that's exactly what the Flyers, that fourth line gives you. And they've been doing it all year, and they bring the puck in, they create chances by just continual pressure. So it's a good thing to have when they get down a goal. You can send out the fourth line, try to create some chances, and maybe get one or two back, which is what they did.
Yeah, let's get back to this Giroux call, the non-goal, because the Flyers were about to have all the momentum there. You get down 2-0, and then all of a sudden you quickly get that first goal of the second period. Couturier with a great backhanded pass to Schenn right in front, redirected it past Bernier. I made it 2-1. Then all of a sudden you get this 4-minute power play, and you know the non-goal just seemed like it really swayed the momentum a little bit back in Toronto's favor.
Yeah, you definitely see that a lot. The Flyers come out, they scored that goal within 30 seconds. You think, okay, here we go. They came out strong. They're going to continue to play strong. They're going to win this game. They want to hold their destiny in their hands. They want to make the playoffs. Well, you really do take the momentum away in the middle of a power play when you miss a call like that. Okay, yes, he went into the goalie. Yes, that was goaltender interference, incidental contact. I understand that. However, at the same time, he did get kicked in the skate, and that is a tripping penalty. That was really sorely missed. And I think the refs had a chance there to make that a fair call, and they really missed it. And once the Flyers didn't score on that, really swung it back into the Toronto Maple Leafs' favor.
Yeah, and the problem with that is you were talking about momentum. His momentum did carry him into the goaltender, which is incidental contact, which by the letter of the law would render that goal washed out. But on the several replays that we did see during the broadcast, he was tripped. There was contact between the Toronto player's skate and Giroux, which caused him to go into the goal. So that could have been overturned. But at the same time, I'm not sure using the challenge was. I mean, I guess you could say he had to, but I'm not sure you can make an argument that there was absolute concrete evidence that was a trick. It looks like it, but you never know. So I'm not sure that Hackstall using his challenge there was the best decision because he didn't have a timeout late in the game, or they could have used it in overtime maybe to try to stop some of Toronto's momentum on that power play.
Mm-hmm. Caleb, thoughts on that timeout there or the challenge?
Yeah, I actually missed the challenge, but the way Brian's explaining it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hackstall challenged the play for a reverse of the goaltender interference
Yes.
call, correct? Okay.
You know what? Yeah.
All right, so that's the first time I've ever seen that happen. Normally, it's a defensive play where they're calling the challenge. I really think that the refs, have a little bit of pride, and they don't want to ruin that pride by calling back a goal in that situation. And I feel like even if he challenged it, they can't go back and call the tripping penalty anyway. So all in all, I definitely agree that was a bit of a waste of a challenge.
Yeah. 44-26 in shots, like you said earlier. Why the hell did they lose this game?
There are so many reasons they lost this game. You really just saw that the Flyers did not come out well. They did not play well in the first period. Toronto went up 2-0 early. The Flyers came back and had a little bit of momentum, but like we talked about, that momentum was taken away during that 4-minute power play. Toronto scores that goal, and then moving forward from that point on, I think the Flyers just didn't play with enough urgency to come back. They did tie it up, but at the same time, while they outplayed their opponents for the most part, they really didn't play up to their full potential. So really disappointing effort from the Flyers. They played well, but they could have played better, and it's really going to bite them within the next 2 games.
Yeah, they didn't play up to their competition, which is a theme we've been discussing a lot on these shows, and it kind of came back to bite them again. But other than that, there are two words that are a reason why they didn't win this game. Jonathan Bernier, 44-26 in shots. It always seems like when the Flyers come down the stretch, they always run into a hot goalie, and it's never a Henry Lundqvist or a Marc-Andre Fleury. It's always a journeyman guy like a Jonathan Bernier who happens to stone them, and it happened again.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to make any sense to you guys, but even though they got outshot 44-26, I thought Toronto's defense was, pretty good in front of the net.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between getting quality shots and quantity shots. The Flyers had a high quantity of shots, but a lot of them came from outside of the perimeter. They were kept to the outside. They're just firing them on net, which can be good if you have traffic in front of the net and you're looking for those rebounds. But at the same time, I'd rather have 20 quality shots like the Maple Leafs had tonight as opposed to 44 quantity shots where you kind of just throw them at the net. You don't know if they're going to go in or not, and most of the time they just don't go in, especially like you said, like Brian said, if they run into a hot goaltender like Bernier right now who just, stands on his head all game.
Right, and they always had chances. Of the 44 shots, they're shooting from outside the slot. They're shooting from the point. A lot of those go way wide, way high. Some get blocked. You never really know where they're going to go.
Yeah, it was almost like a counterattack strategy. They were playing back, and then they were just waiting for the Flyers to make mistakes. They had a couple turnovers leading to some breakaways. I almost said fast break, but it led to some breakaways. and I mean, that Grabner guy, he had like 3 of them on his own.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the Flyers going up against these really fast guys. The Flyers don't have a lot of speed on the back end. They have Ghost, but even he's not that fast. He's just good on his skates. So really trying to catch up to a player like Grabner is not going to end well for the Flyers. They're just always going to be on the bad receiving end of that one.
Michael Grabner seems to get one quality breakaway like that like every game. And like you said about Ghost, he's not fast. He's usually positionally sound. But when you make a pass like Voracek made where it's easily picked off in the defensive zone and then he's just off to nobody's catching him.
Let's talk about Voracek because I know Caleb loves him.
You're going to put me on the spot here. But here's the thing. Voracek has been sucking recently. Like, he came back from injury. He should not have come back. He has not been playing well. Right in the end of the third period, Ghost put a pass right into his skates. Voracek earlier in the year, Voracek last year, that's a goal. Voracek in this game, turnover. Like, I'm so livid with the play of Jake Voracek right now. He should not be playing. He should be on the bench. They should be giving somebody who's fully healthy the time, and he really needs to be putting the team before himself because right now he's not doing that. He's not playing well. It's hurting the team. He's led to directly to a couple of goals. The Grabner goal tonight, the Athanasiou goal yesterday, and he just needs to be benched.
Can you bench a guy that's making that much money, though? Maybe that's a little bit of a noose around his neck, so to speak.
Hey, Chip Kelly benched DeMarco Murray, so anything is possible.
Yeah, and like it doesn't matter. Like you're in the playoff hunt right now. I don't care how much money you're making. You could be making half of the salary cap, which obviously isn't feasible. But just for my argument's sake, because I'm on a roll here, you could be making half of the salary cap. And if you're playing the way Voracek is playing right now, you do not deserve to be on the ice.
Oh, I don't disagree that he deserves to be benched for his play. Maybe he's just not healthy. Maybe, like you said, he came back too early. I think that's a big part of it because he's not. If you watch on those power plays, he's in his spot there on the half, on the half wall in the circle, waiting for that one-time pass from Gostisbehere, waiting for that cross-seam pass from Giroux. And when it comes, he's not prepared.
Yeah. I got the butter for that roll though, Caleb. I got it.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on. Let's touch briefly on this Detroit game from last night. Thoughts on that loss?
All right, so here we go. The game yesterday was beyond more frustrating than the game tonight. While the Flyers did lose to the worst team in the league yesterday, the first goal should not have happened. There should have been a penalty called on that. Ghost went into the corner. He got hooked. That changed the trajectory of his pass to go into the front. And then Helm just got a tip right on it, went right over Mason, one of the luckiest goals I've ever seen. Again, second goal, hops over Voracek's stick. He sucks. Goes over his stick. And, breakaway for Athanasiou, goes right under Mason's pad, nothing you can do about it. And then, of course, just to top off the unlucky night for the Flyers, the Red Wings wrap it around the glass, it hits a seam in the glass, and goes into the empty net. Like, nothing went well for the Flyers yesterday. It was all luck on Detroit's end. But the Flyers didn't help themselves because they played really bad, too. So I'm going to, let Brian talk before I blow a fuse over here.
Oh, cool down. We're okay.
I want you to blow a fuse. We're the bitter birds, damn it.
No, you know what? That game yesterday, I think after they gave up that first goal, while yes, Gostisbehere was getting hooked and held by Brad Richards, when a fluky goal goes in like that, I feel like they just kind of fell off a little bit. Like, okay, maybe tonight's not going to be our night. We're in Detroit. It's a tough place to go. They don't usually have a lot of success in Detroit, and I think maybe they just kind of turned it off. I don't want to say turned it off or quit, because that's not a good word, but maybe they just realized that it wasn't going to happen, and they just wanted to move on from that one, come home, and hopefully turn it on against a crappy Toronto team, but we know how that went. So.
I'll tell you who didn't quit last night. That's Steve Mason. Wow, he was pretty good.
Yeah, obviously Mason gets the jersey nod this week because he's been standing on his head. He had those great saves on a couple of those breakaways. He had 2 back-to-back saves there. And, the Flyers, the last couple of games, are just leaving him out to dry. I think the entire team needs to pull their money together and take him out for the nicest steak dinner you can find in Philadelphia because they are just leaving him out to dry right now. And Mason's killing it. I hate when people say Mason's not a starter because he is. He's one of the best in the league this year at adjusted even strength save percentage, which is a little bit of cherry-picking stats, but at the same time, even strength save percentage is a pretty awesome stat to be a leader in. So Mason's killing it. The Flyers aren't. It's going to be a really tough couple games going down the stretch.
Mason's been spectacular. I can have no complaints about the way he's been playing. Their defense hasn't been good. If they do manage to make the playoffs, the team ought to take Mason out to Del Frisco's and get him everything he wants for as much as it costs because he'll be the reason that they get there.
Oh, man. All right, let's talk about the last 2 games now. Let's start with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has the second seed locked up, so they have home ice in the first round. Obviously, they hate us, so they don't want us to win, obviously. But are they going to sit some players for Saturday night's game? What do you think? Or Saturday afternoon's game? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think there's a shot that they rest some of their players. They don't want their players to get injured. They don't want a Ryan White or a Van de Velde going after Crosby after the whistle. They don't want their star players getting injured for the playoffs because that's what really matters. They have it locked up, and I really think, Fleury's already out, so we're going to hit Murray again. We might even hit Zatkov if they want Murray to rest as well. So it really depends. I think there's a chance that they rest their players, but like you said, they hate us. We hate them. They might not want us in the playoffs, and they might hit us with everything they got.
There's a chance. I agree. There's a chance they might rest some guys, but it's a rivalry game, and they're going to be juiced up just like the Flyers are going to be. Well, we hope the Flyers will be juiced up and ready to go. So I don't think you're going to see too many guys rested. Like you said, Fleury's already out. By the way, that Murray goaltender for the Penguins, that kid is phenomenal. So I don't know how many years Fleury's has left, but that kid is going to be something special.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then you could say the same thing about the Islanders. Sunday night, because the Islanders and the Rangers, they both probably don't want to play the Penguins. So you could see the Islanders try and lose purposely.
Yeah, that's something you don't really see in hockey too often. You don't see a team tank like that to miss a first round a matchup. But if I was the Islanders, I would not want to even touch the Penguins with a 10-foot pole right now. I want to stay away from them as far as possible. Kind of get them into a goalie battle between Murray and Lundqvist, because Lundqvist will come out on top of that if the Rangers can play defensively sound. So if I'm the Islanders, I'm doing everything I can to avoid that matchup without purposely losing that match. So we could see them rest a couple players. It really depends on how the Rangers move into their last game, see where they're headed in the standings, and then we could see what the Islanders are going to do in that last game of the season.
Yeah, I really don't think you're going to see them rest too many guys. I mean, the integrity of hockey is a unique thing. So you still see plenty of regular guys playing for the Islanders, and the Penguins are on an absolute roll. So the Islanders won't want to touch them. But you know what happens when the Flyers and the Penguins play in the playoffs. So the Penguins are going to be really cognizant of that, I think, on Saturday, and try their absolute best to make sure we don't get in.
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing a different Penguins team this year, though. Previous years, the Flyers have been able to get under their skin. They've been able to rough them up a little bit and get them off the game under Bylsma and under, I believe it was Sullivan earlier in the year. I hate the Penguins, so I don't really follow their coaching changes all that much. But I really think that this year you're seeing a different team. They play with speed, they play with power, they play with skill, and they don't let the opposition get underneath their skin. So even if we do meet up with them in the playoffs, I would definitely be more worried than with years past.
They're incredibly fast. And interestingly, I think we've touched on, I believe, Matt Murray. If he's your guy in the playoffs, that's something new if the Flyers meet the Penguins in the playoffs, because years in past, we've had Fleury, and Fleury is a wilting flower in the playoffs. With Matt Murray, you're probably not going to see that.
Because we are a mature show, an R-rated show, I'll just say that the Penguins are no longer pussies.
Correct. I would agree.
Yeah, that's fair.
There we go. All right, let's talk about Detroit playing New York and Boston playing Ottawa. Do you guys see any of those teams possibly beating Detroit or Boston?
Yeah, I could see Detroit losing to the Rangers. But like we said, nobody wants to play the Penguins right now, so there is a chance that the Rangers might sit a few players. It really just depends on who comes out to play. The Red Wings have everything to play for. Rangers already have a wild card spot or spot in the division locked up. So there's a chance that the Rangers are a really good team. They were in the Cup Finals a couple years ago, so they could beat the Red Wings. On the other hand, like Brian had mentioned earlier, Ottawa really hasn't been that good this year. Craig Anderson has been playing a little bit better since he came back. I believe he was injured a little bit ago. But, they only have a couple good players. They have Carlson, they have Bobby Ryan, Turris. But other than that, they really don't have that much depth on that team. So after the Bruins killed the Red Wings tonight, I see them rolling through Ottawa as well.
I would want to focus more on that Boston-Ottawa game, because you could see Detroit losing to the Rangers, because the Rangers are a good team. But that Boston game, no. Ottawa, to put it bluntly, Ottawa kind of stinks. I mean, and Boston's been rolling. And if you look at this, if you try to name the star power for Ottawa, you've got Carlson, I think Phaneuf now. That's kind of it. I mean,
yeah.
Leon McCulloch, maybe.
Let's all right, prediction time. We got three teams fighting for the two spots there. Obviously, Philly can't get that third seed, but they can still get that second wild card. So what's going to happen? Who's going in? Who's going to be out?
All right, prediction time. Flyers are due to beat the Penguins.
Yes.
Without a doubt, I'm going to call it. They're going to kill them on Saturday. They will beat the Penguins. They are due. They've beaten us every game this year. It is time for the Flyers to turn it on at the end of the season, win that game. They're going to use that momentum to carry them through the Islanders game. They're going to win that game too. We're going to end Detroit's playoff streak. That's it. Flyers are in the playoffs.
Let's see. I do agree that we're certainly due to beat the Penguins, because in the previous 2 games we've played them, actually I think 3, we haven't looked very good. So I think they're due there. So you get 2 points there. And then you go into an Islander game in Brooklyn on the last day of the season, and I think you pull that one out in overtime. I think Ghost is going to score the game winner in OT to send the Flyers into the playoffs, to continue the Ghost Rookie of the Year push.
As you guys can tell, we are not biased whatsoever. So basically, the way I see it, I think Boston definitely is going to beat Ottawa. The one that's got to happen, the Rangers got to beat Detroit. And then if that happens, then I think the Flyers have a really, really good, legitimate shot at making it. I'll just say we are going to make it. Fuck it. We're going to make it. And then we're going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and we're going to win that shit, too. How about that?
Yep.
Not bad.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's the best thing about the tournament, is about the Stanley Cup playoffs, is it doesn't matter if you're an 8 seed. You can win it. Look at the Kings from a couple of years ago. They get in as an 8 seed. They lost 1 game on their way to the Cup title. It can happen.
Yeah. You also got to look back to 2010. Similar scenario. Flyers get in.
A 7 seed in that series.
Yep. Make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. So it could always happen.
And remember, they played Montreal in the Eastern Conference Finals and had home ice advantage because Montreal was an 8 seed.
Yeah. There's always shenanigans in the NHL playoffs. Even it was Red Wings and who? Not Red Wings. Devils as a 6 seed against who in the? Who was it? I'm blanking. It was 6 versus 8 in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
So anything's possible.
Oh yeah.
There we go. All right. I guess. Well, this isn't really news, but I guess a little bit. So Michael Neuwirth was the backup tonight. Stolarz got sent back down to the Phantoms, and we signed Ray Emery. So quick thoughts on that.
Ray Emery can barely move side to side anymore. We'll never see him play a game. His lateral movement is 0. So we won't see him play. I think if the Flyers are out of the playoffs by Saturday, by the time the Penguins game ends, you'll see Neuwirth in the last game. And if he's really not healthy, they might call Stolarz up to just give him a little bit of NHL experience.
Yeah, I wouldn't make anything out of that, Emery. I think he's just there for depth. Maybe like a practice goalie. That's all. He won't play. He can't play anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's just like that third string emergency backup quarterback.
The only way that would happen is if Neuwirth and Mason both get injured at the same day, at practice or something, which that won't happen. But
yeah. All right. Let's do final thoughts and let's get out of here.
All right. Final thoughts. Flyers are going to kill it this weekend. They're going to make it in the playoffs. Sorry, Detroit fans. Your 25 stretch of running the playoffs is over. And special shout out to my fiancée, Adele. She turned 21 today, so happy birthday to her.
Yep. Final thought, again, happy birthday to Adele. I do agree that we're going to get in. We've had too long of a playoff drought with all the teams in this city. The Flyers are due to break it. So I think they're going to be up for that game against Pittsburgh, and they're going to squeak it out in overtime on Sunday, and we'll have ourselves a little playoff party.
Speaking of parties.
Also, if anyone is a soccer fan, the Union are playing Orlando City tomorrow night at home. Tickets are cheap. Go and see something awesome, because God knows the Phillies are terrible.
There you go. Hey, Union, baby. Yeah, so, congratulations, Adele, for being 21. I want to make a joke, but I'm afraid to, so I'm not going to say anything. So, because I just won't say anything. Just enjoy being 21. It's, okay, that's it. All right, for Caleb Weiler, Brian Wright, I'm Adrian Ventu. I was too scared to say the joke, so I didn't. So, that's it. We're out. Peace.
Go Flyers.
Go Flyers, baby.